Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Josie's Point of View, where we focus on human interest stories from the Carolinas and beyond. Today's Friday and it's January the 9th, 2026. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're new to my channel, I want to thank you so much for stopping by. I hope you find the information here to be informative. And if you're a returning viewer, by all means, thank you for coming back. You know, I always say the tide changes so frequently here on these YouTube streets. So you always have to acknowledge where your support comes from. And I want you to know I sincerely thank you for your support. So feel free to like and to share this video. And don't forget to subscribe. And our story today is coming out of the town of Newton Grove, right here in North Carolina. Take a look at the headline. And it reads, North Carolina Police Chief charged with child sex crimes. I'll provide you with a summary here, and I'll identify some of my sources for you in the description box. Earlier this week, we worked to the news that residents of a small town in North Carolina, those residents were in a state of shock. And that's because they learned that their chief of police had been arrested and charged with some very serious crimes, and most of all, crimes against children. And as you might expect, the story has gone viral. Everybody seems to be talking about it. But I have to tell you, getting to the facts have not been easy because information has just been a bit hard to come by. It seems as if folks have been trying to suppress the little information that's been shared with the public. And you find yourself reading just every single article out there, hoping to get pieces of this puzzle and trying to fit it together. And you know, things are probably worse than we're hearing. But I want you to stick with me until the end so I can share with you my personal view on this matter. And our focus today is on Greg Warren, police chief for the small town in Sampson County, Newton Grove. Now, he has been chief since 2019, and I remember back then when he was sworn in. I've been around for a while. I do remember when he was sworn in. He's had a good reputation. In fact, Newton Grove Police Department is very rarely ever in the news. But Chief Warren, he grew up in the area, and I'm sure it was an honor for him to return and serve his community, and he seemed to have been a good fit. I remember him most from an incident in 2021 when he rescued a victim who had been kidnapped and assaulted. And I guess her and the suspect had stopped at a gas station there in Newton Grove, and she was able to signal to someone that she was in need of help, and it was Chief Warren who came to the rescue. I remember that well. So the only thing I can say about Chief Warren is it's been very good. So you could imagine, I also was shocked to hear that Chief Warren had been arrested for child sex crimes. So I began searching for more information, and it appears this story originated back in 2023. We really don't know who the victim is, and we don't know her age, but investigators describe her as a minor. We also don't know the relationship of Chief Warren to the victim. But according to reports, the chief allegedly entered the bedroom of this young victim when she was asleep and took some pictures of her. And then he processed those images. And it's a few years later, and it's unclear how it happened, but the victim became aware of the photos. She saw him on his iPad. And the photos were stored in a hidden folder on his iPad. And once the victim saw those photos, she became upset and she sounded the alarm. She let folks know. And Sampson County Police could not investigate their own chief, so they took the matter to the North Carolina State Bureau of Investigation. And Chief Warren had to admit to investigators and to the family of this victim that yes, he did in fact take those pictures while the victim was asleep. And then those investigators sought and obtained permission from the chief to search his phone. And I really don't think he was in a position to say no. That would have been awfully suspicious. And investigators found 4 unusual apps on the chief's phone that served no legitimate purpose. They said the normal person would not have anything to do with those apps. And one of those that was identified as a high indicator for child exploitation or child porn. I'm sure there's more to this, but they're not saying. And I was thinking, oh, chief, say it ain't so. Please say it ain't so. And so the chief of police for Newton Grove was arrested on 7 felony charges, as shown here: 1 felony count of indecent liberties with a minor, 2 felony counts of secret peeping, and then 4 felony counts of secret peeping, and his bond was denied. He was taken into the Sampson County Detention Center to await his first court appearance, which was scheduled for this past Thursday, the 8th. And reports say that on Thursday, the 8th, he did appear in court for that first hearing, and that was really his bond hearing. It was reported that he was shackled and wearing an orange jumpsuit. They say he walked into the courtroom and he made no eye contact with his family, who were there to support him. Reports say that although the chief stated that he planned to seek private counsel, a public defender was there, and she asked the judge to set a bond, citing his ties to the community and the fact that he did not have a criminal record. And she also stated there would be other pre-trial conditions in place to protect the victim. And the judge listened to it all, but then decided again that bond should be denied. And on Thursday afternoon, the town of Newton Grove issued a statement, and here's the entire statement. It says, the town of Newton Grove acknowledges that its police chief, Greg Warren, has been arrested and charged in a matter currently under investigation. Effective immediately, Chief Warren has been suspended without pay pending the outcome of the legal process. Town officials have met, are aware of the matter, and have taken all necessary steps to ensure there's no lapse in law enforcement services. Police operations will continue without interruption, and public safety services remain fully operational. The town will provide additional information as it becomes available and appropriate to do so. At this time, no further comment will be made, and they're saying it's business as usual, and right now they have nothing else to say. And here's what I think. I think there's a lot more to the story. I believe information has been suppressed for a number of reasons. One, to protect the victim, who we know is a minor, and then maybe to show some consideration for the chief and also for his family. It's probably the victim is probably someone close to him, because we don't have strangers entering the bedrooms of our children while they're sleeping. And then again, it's not just about the pictures, but I think it's the type of pictures he took while that child was sleeping. And look, we're not naive. Just taking pictures of someone while they're sleeping is definitely creepy as hell, but it definitely does not rise to the level of having a bond being denied. I think it's the type of pictures that he took, and the fact that he hid them away of his, hid them away in that iPad. And there is a strong suspicion that his actions are somehow intertwined with those 4 apps, those 4 suspicious apps that were found on his phone. So even though some things are not being said, and we don't know the whole picture, and the fact that he has been denied bond tells us it's pretty serious, and he's probably facing a significant amount of jail time. And as you can expect, the comments from viewers have been ugly and all over the place. Some of them are positive, but a lot of them have been really kind of in what I consider just not being reasonable. And I want to focus on just this one right here. And it said, this is why I have lost all respect for law. It's every week now. Well, let me say yes, there's a lot of it. In fact, we have another police officer who was also arrested and charged with child porn, and he's going to be on my arrest in my next video. And the next comment said that's one reason folks no longer trust the police. I don't think that's fair. There are bad apples everywhere. This time it just happened to be allegedly the chief of police. Remember, these are just accusations. He has not been convicted. But the fact is, keep in mind, these are people. They're no different from you and I. Okay, so let's not judge them by any unreasonable standard. They break the law, even though they're not supposed to, but it does happen. But it does not mean that you should say or create this idea that all police officers are bad. I don't think that's fair. And I have to personally say kudos to the Newton Grove Police Department. Yes, you're a small department, but you know what? You could have covered this up or tried to cover it up. And I commend you for bringing it open. You knew it was a problem. You know it involved the chief. It was high visibility. And this would definitely be high visibility, but you elevated it to the proper level so that it could be investigated. Good job for you. Good job. And so Chief Warren would be back in court this coming week, January 15th. This would be a follow-up here, and hopefully by that time, he would have hired his private counsel, but it would be another opportunity to see whether or not he's granted bond. And I'll try to stay on top of this case, and I'll bring you updates whenever they become available. And that's all I have for you right now, but feel free to leave me a comment below and let me know what you think about this video. And by all means, feel free to like it and to share it. And if you haven't done so already, I want to invite you to subscribe to my channel by clicking on that red subscribe button. It's on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. And if you click on the bell that looks like just like this one, that's the notification bell. If you click on that notification bell, you'll be the first to know whenever a new video is uploaded. I thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.